Hello guys and welcome to Bad Anime Takes. I'm here to give a shitty opinion about quintessential quintuplets. So here we go. Quintessential quintuplets is an interesting case for an anime show because the plot doesn't seem to matter as much as the characters. The show follows Futaro, who becomes a tutor during the first episode for the 5 main girls in the show, which also happen to be quintuplets, hence the name Quintessential Quintuplets. Now here's where it gets interesting. While there's plot and other arcs, let's be real, nobody really cares about all that. All we're here for is for the 5 main girls and their different personalities. Now the real fun of the show is actually arguing with a fan base about your favorite girl and trying to back that up with facts and reasons as to why she's the best out of the bunch. Today I'm going to be making the argument for Ichika, which after season 2 of the anime is probably the most hated character out of all 5, but I sincerely believe she's actually the best out of all of them, and I'm going to list my reasons out in this video. Now before we get to Ichika and what makes her the best out of all the sisters, I want to go over the competition real quick and give a breakdown to each of the girls and why they might be quite unappealing, in my opinion. If you do happen to disagree with me about who's best girl, which is more than probable considering how much there are, leave a comment down below who you think is best girl and your reasons why. Starting off is Itsuki, the youngest sister. Itsuki is the only girl out of the 5 that's really not love interest for the main character. That basically puts her out of the running for the best girl title of the show. But other than that, her personality is pretty straightforward, kind-hearted, nothing too special about her. Very simple character overall, which is another reason probably why she's not a love interest in the show. Next up we have Yotsuba, who's the 4th sister. Yotsuba actually shares somewhat part of her personality with Itsuki in that she's also very kind, but it's done to a fault. Yotsuba is the type of character who puts herself in trouble to help others, and really this is shown all over the show where she gets in trouble or gets in a situation that's particular for helping someone else out. But to the extent that is shown in Yotsuba, it's very unrealistic. She's also very athletic and the most athletic out of all the sisters. She's also shown multiple times to be the least bright out of all of them. And I think that anti-realism is really what puts off a lot of people from Yotsuba as a character and why she probably has the smallest fan base overall after Itsuki. The 3rd sister is Miku. Well, Miku is a very popular character because she's a shy trope. The shy trope is overly popular with guys, and her and Nino really compete for the top spot in popularity. Looking at my anime list, which is definitely the most accurate place to get information from, we can see that Miku's profile page has the most favorites out of all the sisters, beating out Nino by a good margin. Now Miku's popularity is actually a large part of why Ichika is very hated in the community, but we'll get to that part in a minute when I cover Ichika. Another thing about Miku is that she is seen as the quirky type of character, where she has weird interests in warlords of the past, and then she also drinks like matcha soda, and people tend to like quirky type characters a lot these days. In terms of overall characters, I actually think Miku ranks pretty high. After Ichika, she would come in probably 2nd, being one of the more realistic characters that exist in the show. Now, as for Nino, which I think is one of the worst characters in the show and somehow ranks 2nd overall in popularity and has a very dedicated fanbase. I attribute Nino's popularity probably due to the tsundere trope, which is very popular in the anime community these days. But once you look at the character itself, there is just no way that anyone with a human brain would like something like that. Ignoring the fact that Nino drugs the main character twice in the show. Let me just play these clips right here. She is the most hostile to the main character out of all the other girls. Now it's later explained that this is due to her deep love for her family and she sees everything as a threat. There's some very very big difference between being protective of your family and just plain out stupid. Other problem I have with Nino, other than her being a psychopath, is the way she's introduced as a love interest. It's very forced. Nino reminds me a lot of a brat that complains a lot, even though she's shown as the one that acts kind of like the mother to the other quintuplets, where she cooks and cleans and always has band-aids on her and things like that. She's also constantly fighting with her sisters, never getting along, and always seems to have a problem with something where she's crying about it. Her immatureness can also be seen by how she falls for Futaro in his side persona, where he acts as Kintaro with the wig and that stuff. Now, Futaro as a person doesn't actually change, it's really the look, and it seems she's very attracted to that type of look, and so she puts that ahead of the person itself. Very, very weird way to be attracted to someone, but that's how the author perceived the character, and why I think she's overall the worst written character in the series. Yahoo! And finally, we get to the best written character in the series, in my opinion, which would be Ichika. Ichika is the oldest of the 5 quintuplets, so she takes on the role of the big sister as well as the leader. This can be seen when they're kicked out of their home by their father, and Ichika takes on the financial responsibility of providing for the rest of the quintuplet with her acting job. She has a fun, teasing personality overall, but she's also a hard worker, which can be seen when she puts her mind to studying against Miku and actually beats her out in the exam. Now, in regards to why people hate Ichika, it's really due to the second season of the show. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch that. Here's your spoiler warning right now. Now that you've all been warned. There are 3 scenes overall that make people hate Ichika, specifically in season 2 of the Sister War arc. And I want to cover them one by one to show why they should make you actually like the character more rather than despise her. The first scene is the infamous confession while she's dressed up or disguised as Miku. Now, at no point am I arguing this is the correct thing to do. However, when you take into consideration how competitive of a character Ichika is, and the amount of pressure and stress she faces from work and school at the same time, combining these 2 factors with the fact that she's also getting pushes from her sister, specifically Yotsuba, to do what she wants to do, Ichika makes a very wrong and rashful decision in this scene. Now, people like to take the whole character out of context with no perception for the scene and the build-up, but the factors that take place in the scene behind the scenes are just as important, if not more so, to understanding the character as a whole. And the fact of the matter is, no human is truly perfect, and this characterizations of a character making a mistake in a show, with factors that play into it, make Ichika the most relatable and realistic human being written in the show, that is not a saint on all fronts and does make mistakes. Now, the next scene is the scene on the field trip at the shrine. Ichika runs ahead of the group to try to get to Futaro before the rest of them to stop Miku's confession. This scene really embodies Ichika's commitment more than anything. She's the type of person to commit to a decision once they put their mind to it, and so she commits to the lie. She does this one more time for the last scene, which is basically her rejection scene. From then on, she really helps Miku to get her confession out, which is a complete 180, and many people don't seem to understand that. For such a competitive character, this is really resembling her giving up on Futaro overall, realizing that she's damaging her relationship with her sisters and that it wasn't worth it. Now, realizing your mistake and backtracking from it isn't really shown from any of the other characters in the series. Now, Ichika is really a flawed human being, much like the rest of us, and that's what makes her so enjoyable to see, as not just another saint who makes no mistakes, but someone who can recognize their mistakes and make up for them. And with all those points into consideration, I have to say, to me, Ichika does seem like the most human-like character in the show, and she is the one that stands out as the most unique and the most enjoyable for me to watch. Now, if you like getting your drinks laced every 2 minutes, that's all the power to you. You can like who you like as a character, but please leave some legitimate reasons to your decision down below and let me know. I'll be reading the comments. With that, like if you liked the video, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Also, leave me some feedback in the comments. I would really appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Bad Anime Takes, signing out.